together. Ooh, baby.
My 34 female
I feel like
boyfriend,
music sounds
32
better
male,
with you,
invested
baby.
all of our savings in Donald J. Trump stock. And now
Feel like
it's plummeted
music
and he won't
sounds
take it out.
better with
I moved into a motel
you.
with our 3 kids, 7,
It
4,
may
and
not
3.
be
And I
the
just don't know what to
right
do
time.
anymore. Am I
I
overreacting?
may not be the right one.
That looks good.
Yeah.
So yeah, bro. What were you saying?
I was saying that I went to a show. I went to a live music show on Friday, and I kind of didn't want to go, but I bought the ticket, so I was just like, I just went. At the end of last year, like in December, I kept doing that. Like I bought a bunch of tickets to shows that like sounded interesting and were like $20. There was 2 in January that I bought, but I didn't go. You know the band Real Estate?
Nah.
And then there was another band, I forgot what they were. Oh, I think Fiddlehead was the band, but I didn't go to those shows. So this one, there's this band called Madhu Mokhtar. I'm probably pronouncing their name wrong, but they're this rock band from Africa, from this very specific place in Africa. And they're dope. They're dope. They're a 4-piece band, very like guitar heavy, electric guitar. The main dude, his name, like he's the artist Madhu Mokhtar, and I think he has a band. But the main dude, I've seen him online referred to as like the African Jimi Hendrix or some shit like that.
That's high praise.
He shreds, bro. He shreds. He shreds. So it was kind of a weird show.
This is the one you went to on Friday.
Weird. Yeah.
Where
and,
was
like,
it?
I went alone. It was this venue called Sony Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of it?
I haven't.
I think it might be like a historic venue. You know what I mean? Like an old New York venue, because they had pictures of Bob Dylan. I was like, did Bob Dylan perform here? It looks like the place Bob Dylan would perform. But
is it small?
It's a room that's sort of small. Like it looks like it has low ceilings, but in reality the ceilings are pretty high. But it's got a stage, and the main area where the audience is tables. So I bought a ticket that was standing room only, thinking that the tables were on the side. But like in front of the stage, it's like tables, all tables. And then at the back is a bar, and that's where the standing room is. I was basically leaning on the bar the whole time. It was a cool venue. Like because there's a lot of seats, it looks like a good like date place. And I think they play a lot of like jazz shows and shit like that. Like, you know.
Yeah. What is it? Sounds like it's in Brooklyn.
It's in Times Square, actually, near
really?
Times Square. Yeah. Sony Hall.
Like a low key. It's kind of low key. Is it big? It sounds like a small.
I can't describe
like how many
it's
people
like
were
big
in there?
and small.
Like 1,000?
Fuck, I'm bad at it's like counting like jelly beans in a jar. It's like maybe like 100, couple hundred.
Couple hundred. You're nowhere close. I could already tell.
It's weird because it's not like a big venue. Like the ceilings look low.
You said that. That doesn't make any sense. I wasn't gonna address it, but now that you're saying it again, that does not make any sense. You know, the Warriors are like 8-1 since they got Jimmy.
Okay.
They were like, they're looking to be contenders next year.
What?
I was like, do you know who Stephen Curry is? Bro, from the play-in tournament, he'll make it to the conference finals.
I mean, I don't think that, you know, Jimmy Butler is enough to like increase your prospect of the season that much. You know what I mean? Anthony Edwards talking to Obama. You saw that?
Yeah, that was funny.
That shit was hilarious.
He's got no type of where he is, bro. It doesn't matter where he is.
I mean, how old is he? He's got to be like 21, 22.
No, bro.
Older? Younger?
Yeah, he's older. I think he's older. I think he's like 26.
No, he's not 26.
Fact check. We're fact checking.
But if you're that age, whatever age he is, if you're that age and you're like fucking making money and
did you
on
see
the NBA and I'm stupid, bro. I just Googled Anthony and press search.
He's not that big. monopolize the name Anthony.
Like, he's cocky, and you know, he's 23.
23, okay.
He's cocky, and it makes sense, bro. He's good at
He's good at basketball.
Athlete,
He's pretty good at basketball.
making money, young. You feel me? He's got like fucking a bunch of baby mamas. You hear this shit that he's like
that's funny.
Paying women to get.
Like the way that he talks to these women, bro.
It's crazy,
outrageous, bro.
And like the fact that they leak the texts.
Yeah,
and it's just like nothing happens.
They
like,
don't stop. Like the content doesn't slow down. You know what I mean? He keeps like even if they keep posting it and he does not change.
He doesn't change, bro. But like no one's telling him to change. No one's telling him like, yo, bro, you gotta chill. It doesn't feel like that.
No, I mean, there's no way to really know. Like I'm sure there's got to be people in there, in that circle.
He's 23, bro, and he's got like I don't know how many kids. He probably, it don't even matter how many kids he got. It's just like this, like the second, third woman that's come forward.
Yeah.
With these texts, and he's talking to them like, it's crazy, man. Like
he's laughing at them.
To live a,
he makes a mockery of these women, bro.
He needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
He can't keep going down this path as a young 23-year-old. You got your whole life ahead of you. You ever think about how this is like your only life, your one life?
Yo, count on Anthony Edwards to really reflect on the absolutism of, you know, the finiteness of.
We think about that shit often, bro.
Yeah, you only get one.
No redos, no restarts. You know when you die in a video game, you know, and you restart the level, if you get a limb amputated, it's gone forever. I mean,
technology is pretty good. You could get something pretty nice at this point. Like low key, you might get better. You lose a leg. They got some legs.
I wish that all of my limbs and appendages and everything, you know, stay with me to the end.
Wow,
stay with me to the end.
Yeah,
yeah. The whole court custody system in America is, you know, quite something.
Yeah,
whole court system. Free Luigi,
bruh.
He appeared in court yesterday or 2 days ago, something like that.
Yeah, they didn't give him a coat. I saw a post that was saying they didn't give him a coat.
I saw that.
Like,
too.
are we giving out?
That was stupid.
Were we giving out coats? Did we ever give out coats? I don't know if we ever gave out coats.
I do think it's crazy. Just like they got him in shackles, in a bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
You know, they did the whole perp walk when they brought him off the helicopter. You know, that
what do they think is happening? Do they think something's happening? Like people are going to try to kill him, or?
No, I think it's them deliberately trying to paint him as like guilty already, right? As like this dangerous.
Right.
They're charging him for terrorism.
Terrorism?
Yeah. Federally, which means that he's open to getting the death penalty. Like they're making him to be like the single most dangerous Bane motherfucker in the United States. That's crazy. All right. Is this a music podcast or what, dude?
Yeah, it's unfortunately, it is.
Is this a music podcast?
Today, well, partially unfortunate, partially. So I listened to Mike a couple times. What is that album called? Holy shit! Showbiz. Yes, I listened to it a couple times. I listened to it the last time earlier today. I love it. I think it's exceptional.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I think. In the headphones, lyrics in front of me, it's such a. I find Mike on this album to be so endearing. Like, it's very raw. He's so honest and transparent with who he is. And like, he's got such a cool way of expressing it.
I love that album art.
Yeah.
Color pencils.
And I was listening to it. The production is awesome. I like the production a lot. I'm like, this man, DJ Black Power, is different, bro.
Is that Mike?
That is Mike.
That's
I'm listening to it. I'm like, who the fuck is DJ? It was Mike the whole time.
Yeah.
So he's producing, composing, writing. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if he released this under his own label, but the man is an entrepreneur.
Really?
Yeah, man.
What is he? Entrepreneur?
His own label. He's got a music label.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's all him.
I thought you were gonna say like candles or some shit.
I'd buy one.
Got a small business.
I'd buy a candle. So it's 24 songs, 47 minutes.
A candle that has the scent of like the feeling of this album. That'd be interesting.
What kind of notes would you expect in that?
I don't know. I'm bad at notes. I'm bad at notes in like wine and candles. My sister makes candles. She has a small business making candles.
Yeah.
But I know this creator on TikTok who she's like discusses perfumes and colognes and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And the way she describes these scents is like fucking poetry. Like the way that she connects it to like other things in the world. So I feel like an album or a perfume in this album, yeah, that might like a little musky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A little like
Musk.
grandma's house.
Yeah.
Little like, shaggy couch.
But, sweet. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I definitely hear you. I like a lot the ominous. There's something very ominous throughout it, but at the same time it's uplifting as well. Like this is not a negative album, but there's darkness throughout. Sure. And I like that, like, it's not one dimensional, there's a lot to take away from this. And I feel like it's a testament to Mike and his storytelling and his world building. Like, I feel like I took a glimpse into his life, the highs, the lows, and everything in between.
Yeah. I think like what you said about like how he sounds vulnerable on this album, I think that's true. And I think that aligns with what you said about it being a positive album or like not a negative album, right? Like I think what he's doing, like the lyrical content on this album, or not even just the lyrical content, but just like the feel of this album, is somebody who is letting you know where they're at in life. You know what I mean? There's this word, not containment, content. Yeah. Contentment.
Right.
And he sounds like a content motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like he sounds like he knows where he's at in life. He's aware of his, I don't know, insecurities, his shortcomings,
the mistakes that he's made,
his his good shit too, where his good qualities as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this album as well. I think I didn't expect this album to sound like this. Like I didn't know who Mike was.
Yeah.
Before this, I saw this album being discussed online in other, in different social media platforms. So like I wanted to listen to it, and I saw people saying good things about it. But it wasn't what I expect. I don't know why, but I didn't expect this sound to be something that many people were talking positively about.
I think you're definitely on a certain side.
Sure.
Because I haven't seen any discourse on this album whatsoever.
Okay.
And with that being said, I found out about Mike through The Alchemist. So I had listened to Faith is Rock, which huge fan of that album. The Alchemist is...
When did that come out?
Last year, I think. Mike doesn't stop working.
That's one thing I heard about him, that this is like his like, I don't know what album in the last. He has a lot of releases.
Yeah,
he releases a lot of music. Is he from New York? Did I read that right too?
So
I think he's from New York.
He was born in New Jersey. When he was 5 years old, he moved to London because his mom thought he would have better opportunities. This is Wikipedia. So, Mike, if I'm wrong, I don't want to miss.
Hey, man, Wikipedia is...
That's what I'm saying.
That shit is lit. It's legit.
Have you donated?
I think I've donated once.
Yeah, I think you got to. At least once in your life, donate to Wikipedia, please. But
They be begging y'all.
they need it, bro. They need it. It's an incredible database of information. Everything.
It
is
should
on
be.
there.
It should be publicly funded. That should be a government
That should be a
funded. Our tax dollars should be going to Wikipedia.
100% agree. I'm like that guy on the train. 100% agree. You know that fucking guy doing interviews on the train? He's pretty famous, man.
Oh yes, he's like, "What's your take?"
Yeah, what's your take? You got any takes?
I got a lot of takes, not off the top of my head.
Give me a take.
Those, come on, you can't do that to me because those guys on the show, they prepare for that shit.
I'm just asking if you got a take.
I mean, okay, my first thought goes to like subway etiquette, like how
Okay.
to stand on the train, how to be on the train. You know what I mean? I have a lot of things about like I hate when people are like not polite on the train and do shit that they're not supposed to. Is the train ever packed when it comes in and there's mad people at the doors and there's mad space
Right,
in the middle? Do you say anything?
I'm supposed to tell people.
Have you ever? Because I'll be, yo, can you move in, please?
Wow.
Excuse me, can you move in? Bro, I'm vocal on the train,
Please,
bro. I'm
no, please. Can you move in, please?
I don't know. Can you move in, please? I don't know.
Excuse me. Do you mind moving in, please? Excuse me.
You gotta be a little forceful with it because
Because you want to get beat up one day.
hopefully not, bro.
Yeah, no, that would suck. Could you imagine telling people to move in and they're just like, all right, we're gonna fuck you. We're gonna fucking beat you up now. You talking to me?
Nah, the train is crazy. But yeah, that's my take. Subway etiquette. Just learn how to ride the subway. Dude.
Yeah, learn how to 100%
Don't
agree.
stand too close to people. If the train is not that packed, like move in. And if you're a dude and like the train is like semi-packed and you're sitting down and there's an older lady standing in front of you, you're a dickhead.
Right.
Get your ass up and give that lady the
Chivalry.
seat. Yo, one time I was on the train and I had my eyes closed, headphones in, and the train got sort of packed, or I was sitting down, boom. Okay, we get to a stop. Then people are like shuffling in or out. And then all of a sudden, some person like taps my leg, like with a hand. And I open my eyes and there's like this older guy, this old man, who's sort of standing there with a cane, kind of fragile looking. And then some dude like tapped me to be like, get up. And by the time I opened my eyes and was like, what the fuck? Somebody else had gotten up and gave the man the seat. And then I looked at the dude who touched me and he was kind of like a little far away. He like leaned over to do it, but he kind of gave me this look like, sorry, had to do it. That shit
That's
annoyed me so much. Like, don't touch me.
Yeah, you were targeted.
Don't touch
Why
me.
did he target you?
Because he was this fucking white dude, bro.
Oh man, see that's
Don't
that's
get me started
unfortunate.
on them, bro.
that's unfortunate.
But Mike is not a white dude.
No, Mike is not a white dude. Can we pull up the wiki? Let's pull up the Wikipedia because Mike is an interesting guy, and obviously we grew up in Queens. He grew up in Brooklyn. I feel like I relate. He talks a lot about the East Coast too.
Okay.
He talks about the East Coast on this album, and he's like he talks about growing up in the East Coast, being outside.
Yeah, I think that's him.
Yeah.
Being in New York and outside, 26.
The life, the
13.
hustle, just like him hustling out here in the street. Yeah. Also, that's how I found out. Also known as DJ Black Power.
Yeah, I think the production on this album is really good. I think it just took me a minute just to like commit to the sound, I guess. And I was a little bit turned off of it just because there's something I don't particularly like that much about what I like in my head is like this sort of like stoner type of hip hop, if that makes sense. I'm not really one to like listen to that sort of music. There's a few artists that I've listened to in the past. I don't know. But so this album, I liked it. The more I got into it, the more I listened to it. I listened to it a couple times. I was listening to it with the lyrics, I was listening to it with headphones, and I did start to like some of the songs and some of his like flow and his cadence,
Yeah.
like I remember when some rap songs came out, Earl had said something about like loops, and how he like really regarded looping as like a pure form of rap.
Instrumentally or
yeah, instrumentally, like the beat being a loop.
Yeah.
Right. And he was
fundamental.
I feel like that's like, he was saying that he feels like it's like a pure form of like rap, right?
Yeah.
And this album is full of loops.
Yeah.
Very similarly. And not only is the music looped, but Mike's cadence on the songs is looped. You know what I mean? He's just like unrelenting on some of the songs, just line after line after line after line. And yeah, he's mumbling, but it like doesn't matter. Right?
It doesn't matter.
It's just like the cadence is what is really what he's doing.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh, okay, I see what he's doing in these in these sounds, like, and I like that, right?
Yeah.
That's what like sort of turned me around to the album. So I ended up liking it, once it was all said and done.
To me, that style, his style on this album and like throughout his music, it's almost a double-edged sword for me. Like, a song will come on, and if you're not feeling that flow along with the beat,
right,
like don't wait around. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you got it. That's what it's gonna be. And I feel like there's 24 songs on this.
Okay, feels like it.
I could have sat here for 24 more. I'm on board with everything that he's doing on this album. There's moments where that happened to me though, when I was just like, this beat, this flow,
not
really getting it. And also I feel like the composition just didn't really come together. Like, there needs to be glue with his style. Like, I feel like everything needs to fall into place.
About the album as a whole?
No, in a song.
Okay.
Like, within one song, there's got to be glue that sticks everything together. And there's a couple songs on here where the vocal performance kind of falls short, and the instrumental isn't as colorful as some of the other ones, and it's just kind of, it ends up falling flat as a track as a whole. That's what I mean by the double-edged sword, where he's kind of committing to this style, and it's either going to be smooth like butter and just he's saying these witty lines and they're coming through and making sense, or it's kind of choppy and you're just not with him with the cadence that he goes with, and then the instrumental. But with 24, I would say there was only like 2 songs where I was just like, this one's not for me.
Yeah. And would you agree that because there is 24, it almost is like okay if there's 1 or 2 that you don't really fuck with?
Yeah.
Like, does every song have to be a banger? Like, there's so many songs on it, and each song, like, there's so many songs, but the album is still like 40 something minutes.
Exactly.
Right? Like, multiple songs are like a minute, less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Only like 1 verse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it sounds like, like demos are just like, you just open a file and there's just like a bunch of files.
Right.
Like it sounds like shit that he tried and shit that was he was experimenting. They're not like full songs, but I think that gives it its charm and lends to like the whole like vulnerability and rawness of the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
They all the songs sound like, all right, boom, record, and boom, here I go.
I mean, so I partially agree and partially disagree a little bit in terms of I actually think this album is beautifully crafted from track to track. Like it doesn't, to me, it doesn't feel like I understand in terms of his vocal performance, some of the moments do kind of give demo-y, the way he's not enunciating everything. To me, it's like it's very casual, but I think from a production perspective and the way that each song is stacked up, it's almost like a movie, you know, in a way where it's very intentional and it's not really casually placed like this track list, and that's why it's not demo-y, you know, when I was listening to it. Because like the transitions between the songs, like I think they're intentionally short because the messages flow into each other. Like there are moments where like 3 of these songs kind of felt like one. And I appreciate the consistency and the execution. I think it was just a really well executed album. Like it felt,
It did feel well executed. Like it did feel like a complete album, right? Like it has a very distinct sound, a very distinct feel. It's an album. It's condensed. It's something that feels like somebody created and is like,
yeah.
here.
It feel like there isn't really fluff either.
Feels like an album.
Like
Right, yeah.
24 songs and it feels like there isn't really too much fluff. And bro, some of the bars on this are like mind blowing. Like he snaps on this record, bro. Just in terms of like, he's super witty, but he's also like wise. You know what I mean? Like he drops like truths and like wisdom. Like I feel like he's genuinely trying to help me. Like low-key, when I'm listening to it, I feel like he's telling me all these things about himself, his life, and he's trying to tell me for a reason, you know? I don't know.
He's giving you advice.
Yeah. And I think that's intentional. And I appreciate you, Mike. Mike is the man, bro. I fuck with this guy. Like I feel like I know him after listening to it. Like I feel like I know him.
There's a song on here where like the ending of a song is some dude going like, I love Mike, man. Full glaze. Full glaze.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Full glaze.
You didn't recognize me? That was me.
Nah, I like this album. I was actually listening to it again today. Like I was at the grocery store and I was listening to it. I didn't get broccoli. I got spinach, mushrooms,
You be making omelets?
some breakfast sausages. I don't make omelets that much. I do have eggs like every day. Full confession. I have eggs every day. My cholesterol's probably really bad.
What how you like your eggs?
Scrambled
Every time?
every time.
That's sick.
I
That's sick. Bro.
scrambled eggs, add some cheese. Sometimes I do put like spinach, mushrooms,
Okay.
but yeah, scrambled for the most part. Even when it's like with veggies, it's all like mixed up. I don't really like the omelet where it's like the things are inside. You know what I mean? I
Nah.
like it all mixed up.
Nah, I don't get that at all.
But yeah, I have eggs every day. So yeah, I was at the grocery store listening to this album and it's one that I enjoy. It's one that I enjoy. I just I don't really not that I don't really like there's a time and a place for I guess this kind of sound, which, you know, this isn't an album where you're like, okay, let me pick this song and put it on this playlist over here and shit like that, right? That's not what music is probably intended to be, right? This whole playlist culture of like Spotify and streaming apps nowadays is fucking up culture and the music culture and society, because we should be listening to albums, right? That's why like I wanted to listen to more albums at the beginning of this year, which is where, you know, this whole conversation about the creation of this podcast started. because albums are pieces of art, right? At the end of the day, and it's something that an artist is creating and presenting, as a work of art. And we are here as music lovers to listen to that, to that, and we're not doing artist service when we're just listening to like a single or a song or whatever.
Like I do think you should listen to the album the way the artist intended, but like I think this is definitely an example of an album where if you're not listening to the whole album top to bottom, you're definitely not going to appreciate it to the extent that like what he created, you're not going to be able to get what he was trying to do on this if you don't do that. And I 100% agree. Yeah, gotta listen to the full album unless it's some sexy songs for you. That album is so bad, bro. So top to bottom, that's something where there is no fucking.
You didn't like any of it.
Nah, but there's no. You could listen to it on shuffle. You know what I mean? There's no intention. Yeah. There is absolutely no intention from track to track.
Yeah.
This album is 21 tracks, an hour and 13 minutes, and like I despise these guys for putting me through this, bro. Some of these songs are so bad, but we gotta finish. We gotta finish with Mike, bro. Let's finish with Mike.
So what would you rate this album?
So after the last episode, I made a decision. Just for myself, you could do what you could do. I gotta go out of 10, bro.
Oh shit! I didn't even rate this.
I just feel more comfortable going out of 10. So I apologize to the viewers. It might be confusing. I think we could do a visual. So when I do my out of 10, it'll be like right here. When I say it, it'll pop up, and then it'll stay up there, and then you'll say it, and yours will pop up. And you'll do like you're out of 5, and it'll be like a little star thing with like however filled up you put it, and then the number. And then with mine, it'll just be a /10, so they know. Like I'm not saying 8 out of 5 like an idiot, and you're not doing like 4 out of 10.
Okay.
But this album for me is, bro. This is my problem, bro. I never actually think of one. When I listen to it, all these times I've listened to it, I never try to sit down and give it a score. Like, every time I'm sitting here in the podcast, I'm thinking of what I'm scoring it right now.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I'm gonna give it a 8.75.
Wow. Wow, that's high.
Nah, it's not. I think it's right where it belongs, bro. And there's one thing I didn't talk about. Like, I feel like his storytelling is masterful lyrically and also with his sample choices throughout this album. Obviously, we heard his dad's voice. We heard his mom's voice. That's why I feel like I noticed, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was that's intentional to get you. We really got a peek of his life. But other samples throughout this, it's like if you didn't get it from what I was rapping, the sample kind of tells you what he was talking about, and it just brings you deeper into the song and the album. And I feel like he does a great job of that throughout this album. And like I feel like the sample it's carrying weight throughout this album.
Mm-hmm. No, I know what you mean exactly. Like there was a lot of samples, at the beginnings of songs almost to like set the stage.
Yeah.
Where I think it was because I listened to the Drake album first, but I was like, Drake would love this sample. Like Drake is jealous that he doesn't have this sample. I don't know if that makes sense, but I thought that a couple times.
Yeah.
All right, so 8.75.
8.75. I think let me just keep it at 8.7. We can't do so many decimal points.
We can't. 2 decimal points. That's crazy.
No need for that. Absolutely. Like, what am I even talking about? What is that 0.05?
What's the difference between 8.74 and 8.75. Not much. That being said,
If I had the paperwork though to back that up, like that would be impressive. Like
the paperwork. What do you mean?
like if I showed you how I got to that 0.05,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like if I had a big ass rubric of just
Show your work.
super intricate, just,
Show your work.
like if you think 8.75 is too specific, I'll tell you why it's not.
Imagine that. Imagine like Anthony Fantano giving a review and someone's like, "Show your work."
Yeah.
How did you get to that?
Come on, man.
So I'm gonna stick to the 5 rating, 0 out of 5. But I think I'm gonna try to stick to 0.5s
Okay.
instead of or halves, because I was doing like all decimal points before. I think I'm gonna still stick to all decimal points on my personal. Like I've been like keeping track and shit. But for the purposes of this, because yeah, whatever. I'm gonna give this album 3.5.
Okay.
3.5. It was really good. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. It was really good. I enjoyed listening to it.
We're gonna argue every time, bro.
I was happy
Because last time you gave something a 3.2 and you said it was really good.
the thing is, you know,
So is 3
anything in 3 for me is really good.
Oh, I see. Okay.
3 is a really good score out of 0 to 5.
I forget you're going down to 0.
Yeah.
Because usually it's 1 to 5.
Is it? It's not.
No?
No.
Because it's like if you're doing a Google review, you got to put at least half a star.
A Google review? What do you mean a Google
You don't do Google reviews?
on like restaurants and shit?
Yeah. You ever left a review?
You have to you have to leave at least half a star. Right.
Yeah.
But that's what? Half. That's not 1 to 5. That's 0.5 to 5.
Yeah.
That's basically 0 to 5.
Well,
My lowest is 0 and my highest is 5. It's not.
but wouldn't 0 just be like this album doesn't exist?
No. I mean, maybe. It
Like
doesn't
they didn't
exist.
even like it's just empty songs. It's like 7 songs and it's just white
Maybe.
noise.
I don't think I would ever rate
Would
an
you
album
give
0.
white noise 0?
No. I don't think I would ever.
You
rate
might
an
enjoy
album
that,
0.
right?
That being said, I don't think I'd ever give an album a 5. Because if, 0 is probably like 0 and 5 are probably unattainable.
Wow.
Like in this realm.
Wow.
You know what I mean? In this human experience.
I completely disagree. Because I'm not looking at these albums objectively. When I give a rating, I'm thinking of it subjectively. So I think I can subjectively think that an album is perfect.
That's true. I think
You just don't. You don't think you could do that?
I don't know. Maybe in my mind there is such thing as a singular perfect album. You know, but maybe not. No, definitely not. Whatever. 3.5 is my rating for Mike.
Cool, man.
Yeah, great, cool album. All right, so now we're gonna go to the total opposite side of the hip hop spectrum.
Yeah, this is an R&B album.
I'm gonna use the restroom before we really get into Drake. All right.
All right,
I want to
just-
give Drake an empty bladder.
She out there.
I have notes here somewhere.
We need a fucking name, man. Listen, guys, we're still workshopping names, so if you wanna just throw some names out in the comments, we will consider it. And shit, we'll throw you some bread too. If we decide that we're gonna use that name, we'll pay you for that name. We'll pay you for that domain space. Carlos will pay you how much money? 1,000? Carlos gonna pay you $1,000 for that name.
Just because I love you. All right, cool. So let's talk Drake. I've listened to Drake songs on the radio and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I've never been a fan where I'm like, you know, looking out for his releases, listening to albums. This is the first album I've listened to of Drake, front to back. You know. But I remember like his albums around that time, like
Take Care.
Call Me
Nothing was.
If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, Nothing Was the Same. Like those people would like talk about those albums, I feel like. Especially the Praying Hands one. If you're reading this, it's too late. People
that
would
was a
like
little
talk
bit
about that shit.
after.
I feel like Drake, at least in my mind, has always been sort of like, okay, whatever, like an artist until Views. I feel like when Views came out, that's when I feel like the public perception shifted against Drake. Against Drake.
Okay.
At least what I was seeing online and shit.
Yeah.
That, you know, that I can remember. And I remember people being disappointed in that album. It came out, a lot of people were expecting it to be, people were talking about it up on before its release. It came out, people were disappointed, saying it was too long.
Yeah.
I remember that. It was too long. And then he went on, released albums after that, bunch of projects.
Scorpion.
And then in the last year, it's been like another phase of Drake's life, right? Where he's been undergoing this beef, this rap beef.
Yeah, brutal.
Who do you think started this beef?
They say it's first person shooter.
Right. I feel like a lot of people say Kendrick started it, but I feel like Drake started it by first person shooter for sure.
What did he? Oh, well, on first person shooter, he said we're the big three.
The thing is, yes, they did say it on the first person shooter, and both Drake and J. Cole on that song are basically like, yeah, we're the big three, but I'm gonna give you my reasoning as to why I'm number one.
Right.
Right. And apparently they invited Kendrick on that song, but he declined.
Yeah. Because they're not on his level.
Yeah. And I see that now. Like, I see Kendrick's reasoning now.
Yeah.
After all this shit, like, imagine being Kendrick and this dude's like inviting you on this song to be like, oh, we're the big three. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro.
It's like,
what?
I can't associate
We're
with
the
y'all
big
like
three.
that,
The fuck? So yeah, I think Drake started the beef. This album has been in the works since last year. When it was first announced, it was supposed to come out like October, November. But this wasn't said explicitly like on the Wikipedia page or anything that I read, but I think that the beef delayed this album's release, right? I think Drake might have been preoccupied.
Yeah.
And not able to like work on this album. And he didn't sue Kendrick, but he sued Universal Music Group.
Yeah.
Which is his own record label. OVO is owned by Universal.
Yeah.
And I think it delayed this album because there was a something that I read about, like, there was question about who would release the album, what company, what entity would release the album, because it's like you're suing so he apparently he like dropped the first lawsuit but then filed another lawsuit against Spotify or some shit like that. He's had an eventful last year.
Yeah.
He's trying to present himself as being unfazed and just sort of like, fuck that, you know, I don't care, I'm gonna continue doing me. And that's what he's trying to present, I think, with the release of this album. Or not necessarily trying to present that with the release of the album, but he released the album regardless, right?
Yeah.
And he's talked about Party Next Door and him being like, you know, I love Party Next Door. He's like all these other people switched on me and shit like that, right? You saw him come out with Drake at a show. He was like, had bullet holes and shit.
Yeah, and the sweater with all the bullet
smoke. So he's trying to be like, you know, I feel like he's at the same time trying to present this image of him being unfazed and like, yeah, whatever, I'm still here. And at the same time being like, I literally don't give a shit. Like, I feel like him releasing this album is being like, all right, I'm focused on something else.
Yeah. Recently
there was a picture that went viral of him at a concert and people holding up signs.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
And I think that's wild. I think that he is like the Mr. Beast of pop music or
I've
some
never
shit.
heard of him just like giving his fans shit though.
But apparently, like, okay, I looked up, I saw that and I was like, all right, like people are just, I guess, hoping, right? But apparently he's giving out money at his shows. Like, he'll see people and he's like, all right, I'm gonna make sure you get $20,000. there's a article of him. He saw a pregnant woman in the pit, and he's like, "Get the fuck out the pit! Like, I'm gonna get you VIP and 20,000." Like, he's literally giving away.
Why
money
the fuck was she down there?
Like the fact that people have to rely on Mr. Beast to get this like life-saving surgery
Yeah.
is a terrible, condemnation of our society.
Yeah.
And Drake is just the same. So anyways, this album comes out and it's called Some Sexy Songs for You. The whole, purpose or when he first like talked about the album, he's like, "Oh, winter's coming up, like, but we're gonna release some songs for you ladies for the winter."
Oh, for the ladies.
For the ladies in the winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Drake raps for the ladies. He does what he does for the ladies.
Yeah.
And that's the thinking behind this album and the album cover, it being like sort of like cuffing season, right? The idea of like it's winter, so like grab yourself a partner and huddle up.
Huddle up.
So
Huddle up.
So you didn't like this album?
Nah, I mean, it's bad.
It's bad.
It's a bad album.
All the way through, top to bottom,
Like,
1 through 27.
don't tell me 27. I think it's 23.
I don't know how many.
21. An hour and 13 minutes. Like, Some Sexy Songs for You. 21 tracks, an hour and 20 minutes. Like,
Way too long.
yeah, it's like,
Way too long, Drake.
that's not some, bro. That's a lot. It's just like, and these tracks are not short, bro. These are long songs of just like winding, boring,
Yeah.
just lifeless
Yeah.
nothing, bro.
Yeah. I had hope that Party Next Door would bring some sort of, other dimension or interests to some of these songs, and I was disappointed when I first heard him. I was like, come on now. That's not what he's going to sound like for the whole album.
Like,
That was.
I think Party Next Door did sound better than Drake, but Drake did not set the bar very high. You know what I mean? It would have been hard for Party Next Door to sound worse than Drake on this.
Right. All of Drake's solo songs on this album are ass. Just all ass, bro.
Yeah.
Like, Party Next Door is needed.
Yeah, he was needed.
He's needed.
And there's like, you would need some of the greatest stuff Party Next Door has ever done to bring this album out of the trenches.
Yeah. I think this album could be good
Yeah.
if it was way shorter. Maybe a LP or some shit like that.
5 songs.
5 songs.
Yeah.
Right. And like, really, guys, come on, you got to edit, come on now, really get to the editing process. And just, and I think the whole vibe of it being like a winter, cause you know what? Like, I did think that the first like few songs, like I did find things that I liked.
Yeah.
In the first maybe 3, I did not like Crying in Chanel. There was some stuff there. I do like, I don't know, what would you call this kind of music? Like sexy music, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's
fucking music.
It's an R&B album. I didn't really get Baby making music out of this though.
Not
like
Baby
that,
make.
Like, these are not.
There's no love
These songs
involved.
are not sexy, bro. There's
no love involved.
Nah, I
It's
mean,
disrespectful. There's no respect for your body on this album. You have to have respect for your body and for the other person's body, and there's no respect on this album.
So he talked about 10 bands you're mine, 20 bands you're mine.
Your mind. 500 bands you better be. Yo, but I think that Drake is sort of genius because he's so corny that it's got to be on purpose, right? Do you agree?
Listen, can you hit credits for me, please?
He's so corny. Like some of these songs are so goofy.
Yeah.
And some of the lyrics are so goofy that he's doing it on purpose because he knows that people are going to talk about it, people are going to laugh about it, and girls are going to love it. You know that song that's baby girl, girl.
Yeah.
I don't know what the name of it is, but I've been seeing TikToks of that, like girls dancing to it, or like it's like people love that goofy shit,
Yeah.
you know?
And that's something about, I'm surprised to see here they're legitimately claiming that only Drake and Party Next Door wrote this. Give me a hug.
Give me a hug.
Honestly, for some reason there was something kind of endearing in that song to me, where it's just like he just misses his friends, you know, at the strip club. Like I was just like, that's fine. You know, I'm not gonna be mad at you for that. Like it is still a bad song, but like in terms of the content,
it's comedy, you know?
Yeah,
it's
right.
a skit.
Yeah,
he's doing skits on this album, you know.
So they do have a couple. Oh no, yeah, that's just the feature on Meet Your Padre.
That was terrible. What did you think about that? I think he was just like, okay, Spanish.
Yeah,
Like I was so confused about what is this supposed to be like a Mexican song?
yeah. It is offensive though.
It's terrible. Terribly offensive.
And it's embarrassing, and that was bad. That's bad.
But like that's what I mean. Like, okay, he records this song and he listens back to it. There's no way he hears that and he's like, yeah.
That's the one.
This is a bang.
Right?
Right?
They're gonna eat this up.
He's releasing it. Like, what is the purpose of releasing it? He's releasing it because he knows he sounds goofy. You know, he knows people are gonna be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And he knows that people are gonna have fun with it. Like, people are gonna just like make stupid TikToks about it.
Right.
You know?
And
He's not making music. He's not making serious music.
like, if you separate Drake from Aubrey, you know, like Aubrey, he hid his kid from the world. You know what I mean? But Drake didn't do that. Drake is just a doofus.
You know,
Like, I think Drake, he's either a liar or he's got like a deficiency or something.
I thought about that while listening to this album. I was like, also I guess doing research about it, right, and learning about his like upbringing. Like the man Aubrey, the man who is Drake, is different than the person who we know as Drake.
Yeah.
Right? That's that goes for all of us. Who we are as beings, as entities, is different than the persona that we, you know, show to people.
Sure.
And I was thinking in this album, like, I feel like with Drake, it goes a step further in that he, as a cultural, I don't want to say icon, but, you know, as a cultural personality,
Yeah.
I feel like he rejects the persona of who we all culturally understand him to be, right? Like, we understand Drake as a culture, and he's like, no. Like, he's like, he rejects that.
Right.
He rejects that understanding that we have of him. And he wants to portray this other persona. Like, it feels like he's fighting on this album, or I guess as a whole, you know, to like be like, to show himself, but it doesn't even feel like himself. It feels like who he wants himself to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like we're getting Aubrey. Aubrey is dead. It's like Anakin Skywalker. Like, Aubrey is dead.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
killed
long
him,
gone.
you know? So he's like 2 levels into the whole persona thing, I think. Like, just like going back to the night and day difference of like this and the Mike album. Mike, like you said, is super vulnerable, and this is like, you could sense the moments where Drake is like, look, I'm being vulnerable.
Right.
Look at me. But it's like, it doesn't feel like we're getting underneath the surface at all. It doesn't feel like this is an artist who's trying to be vulnerable or show us anything. You know what I mean? Like, that is what art is supposed to do.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Like, you get a sense of like who the creator is and what the context is of them creating this thing. And this album is just like super devoid of all of that.
Yeah. I think I see Drake as like a conglomerate, you know? Like he's like
Like an LLC. He's a corporation.
yeah, like
He's got shareholders.
you remember the housing bubble?
board of directors.
Like he's those,
2008.
yeah, he's like those fucking unsecured loans. You know what I mean? That were just like huge and booming and unstoppable.
But had no like value.
No,
behind
exactly,
them.
completely
You know, I
worthless.
just learned recently that the US dollar is backed by nothing than the trust of the public. Like there was a time where you know, the US dollar was backed by gold.
Right.
But they moved away from the gold standard, and it's just like, yeah, this means something.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, sure.
Drake is the US dollar, man.
CN Tower, what that song reminds me of a Mad Lib that I did when I was 12. He was like, the city is beautiful at night when it's dead.
Oh,
Just like a
flower.
What color's
Colors
the
the CN Tower.
CN Tower? Pick a building.
I think the hooks and the choruses on this song
Yeah.
are on this album, I mean, are terrible.
Yeah.
There's the redeeming qualities that you find are verses.
Right.
Hooks and everything is just like, shut up, dude.
Meet Your Padre. Like when it gets to that song, I feel like there is a bit of a change from the first half to the second half. Like Die Trying. I feel like Drake has kind of like a refrain, or like the melody of that song is a little bit easier on the ears. There's so many melodies here that just suck so much, where it's just like it feels like it was effortless in a way that if you just put a little bit more thought into it, it would have been good, or it could have been good.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels like that's my main issue with this album, where it's just like it doesn't feel like there was any real care that went into it, and it was just like, here's the instrumental.
Right. Like you hear about artists working on an album, and then it'll come out and it's like a great album, right? And it makes sense that they were working on it.
Yeah.
But like reading the Wikipedia page of Drake and this album, they were working on this for quite a while.
Right.
And they referenced working on it a lot, right? Like, oh yeah, Party's mixing it, like it's crazy, it's gonna be crazy. And it's like, this is what you guys were working so hard on? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Drake is gonna be all right commercially because like I said, like I've seen,
I wonder how
like,
the
these
sales
songs
did on
TikTok
this.
and shit. Well, there was that thing that the first day it dropped, it like became number one,
Right.
and people were like,
That's gonna happen every
people were
time.
like, you see, like Kendrick is like, people love Drake, you know, because he like passed Drake, he passed Kendrick for number one.
Sure.
And then like the next day, Kendrick went back to being number one. Like all of the plays that it got were like from when it dropped, people being like, huh, let me listen to this.
Yeah.
What's this?
Right.
And then like after that, like nobody has listened to this album.
Yeah.
Like in the next days and shit.
I'm ready to rate. I hated this album. Actually, no, I don't think I was that passionate. Like, to invoke that amount of passion to say that I hate it, I don't think it was that. Like, it's more like complacency, you know?
Do you I feel like I was ready to hate this album. Like I listened to this when I press play on this album, right? I'm like, fuck Drake, you know, like
Yeah.
fuck this album.
Yeah.
Right? And I think I recognized that as I began listening to it, and I was like, okay, let me try my best to remain neutral, right?
Right.
And just like remain unbiased and listen to this shit. And I feel like that made me more open to some of the sounds that I was hearing, and made me more open to be like, okay, I like that part.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, that was okay.
One thing I will say is, like, Drake is not a producer. You know, Party Next Door isn't a producer either. So Like, there's people on this behind Drake and Party Next Door that are, I think, genuinely working hard to make instrumentals that are catchy and fun and like sound great. And I thought the instrumentals sounded good.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually really I feel like the instrumental on Meet Your Padre, the Latin fusion, I enjoyed it. Like, I think it's super catchy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought that instrumental was a vibe. I think it's a shame that Drake stepped in that and dropped a huge dump on it. He just shit it all over it. But I think, honestly, if it was just a Chino, I'd never heard of Chino Pacas before. Like, if that was a single track from him and he just kind of did his thing, that would have been a banger.
Yeah.
And like, I think that, and it's just because if you just saw that credit list, like, remember the Mike credits? It was Mike.
Yeah.
Lyricist, composer, producer. There's
mad people.
There's like almost 100 people who worked on this, bro.
Yeah. This got me thinking about, like, what is Drake, right? Like, he doesn't produce, and there's either rumors or past rumors or confirmation that he uses ghostwriters, right?
Yeah.
So at the end, is he just a singer, right? Is he just a performer? Like, he's not a songwriter.
Yeah.
Unless he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a producer, right? So he just comes to perform the shit.
I wouldn't be surprised if Drake has not
AI recorded
this shit, anything,
and he just, like, took the lyrics and
I wouldn't be surprised about that, bro. And that's why I'm saying I'm not sure. I'm a little bit torn because it is genuinely bad enough that he could have written all of it in one night. I think some of this is just ad-libbed in the studio. He's just talking. Yeah, I'm ready to rate. I'm not going to do it out of 10. I'm just going to say bad. It's bad.
Bad.
Yeah, it's going to be...
Is it a 0?
That's not a 0. That's just like, you don't get a number.
Wow.
This is not bad. This is not good. Or no, because shout to the needle drop and Fantano. He does not good. I'm not going to cut. I can't do not good. I'm going to say trash.
Trash.
We could do a trash can emoji over my head.
Trash. Dude. So out of 5, I gave this a 1.5.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I would not listen to it again. There was very few redeeming qualities. I think the redeeming qualities were stretches on my end, like I said, because I was trying my best to remain neutral and trying my best to, like, find the good and the bad. I was like, okay, Drake, I see that. And, like, however much we talk shit about Drake, I mean, we're not really talking shit, but
no, we haven't really. Well,
we're not talking shit. We're just saying it's bad, but we're not being like, fuck Drake objectively, or, like, you know what I mean? But I will say that he's 38.
Yeah.
He's 38.
38.
Does this sound like a 38-year-old on this album?
I'm gonna go with.
I don't want to be a ageist, right? And I feel like, at any age you could do anything at any age. You could achieve your dreams at any age.
That's beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
But Drake stays making music for people in their 20s. I don't know, like, fucking toxic people in their 20s. You know what I mean? Like, who are you, Drake?
Reveal yourself, bro. You can,
like, there's just no sense of, like, vulnerability in any of his music. Yeah. No sense of authenticity. It's just void of humanness. He's AI.
All right, but
he's an alien.
Sorry, Drake, if don't sue us for this episode.
It's defamation.
Yeah.
We're committing defamation right now. You could use this in court. We are committing defamation.
All right, bro. Well, that's the episode.
That's the episode.
It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man. Great. Cut it.
Cut this shit.
The sound. What was it? The soundboard.
Let me clear my throat.
Bro, you know what's funny? One of our episodes, like the start, you were singing some bullshit, and I was doing "Am I the Asshole?" Like I was making one up, and like I was talking over you, and you were singing over me, and it's fucking hilarious. Like you have to hear this shit. Like I was just going through it, and it's mad funny. Like I feel like that could be our cold open or like our intro to all of our episodes.
All right, bet. You'll show me after.
Yeah, that shit is jokes.